Alright, cosmic detectives. Let's chase a riddle. Could TRAPPIST-1e hold the key to alien life? Here's the game plan. I'm going to climb an evidence ladder, each rung a test. If it holds, we keep going. If it breaks, we climb back down. Rung 1. The star, TRAPPIST. 1. Is a tiny, ultra-cool red dwarf about 40 light-years away. Small stars live a long time, trillions of years, so there's plenty of time for life to get started. But small stars flare. A lot. So, +1 for longevity, -1 for mood swings. Rung 2. The zone. TRAPPIST-1e sits right in the habitable zone, where liquid water could exist on the surface, not too hot, not too cold, just could be right. Rung 3. Size and gravity. 1e is about Earth-sized with Earth-like gravity. Mountains stand, oceans stay put, and atmosphere can hang on. Rung 4. The neighbors. This system has 7 rocky worlds. More worlds, more lottery tickets for habitability, material exchange by impacts, like interplanetary carpooling for the building blocks of life. Rung 5. The atmosphere question. JWST has been sniffing starlight through these planets' atmospheres. For 1e, early results haven't found a thick, puffy hydrogen blanket, which is good. A thin, rocky planet atmosphere is still on the table. We haven't seen a clear Earth twin signature yet, but the door's open. Rung 6, the flares, again. Red dwarfs can blast planets with radiation. That could strip atmospheres, push life underground or underwater. If 1e has a magnetic field, a decent atmosphere and ocean, it could ride out the storms. Earth did. Rung 7, tides and day-night. 1e is probably tidally locked. One side day, one side night. Sounds harsh, but global winds and oceans can move heat around. There's a terminator zone between day and night that might be surprisingly cozy. Rung 8. Chemistry. Rocky crust, water, volcanic outgassing, carbon dioxide, water vapor, maybe methane. Great ingredients. Life doesn't need magic. It needs gradients, energy differences to exploit. A star on one side and cold space on the other, that's a gradient buffet. Rung 9. Biosignatures. The dream is to catch oxygen methane gases that shouldn't coexist unless something keeps replenishing them. That's a heavy lift, but JWST and future telescopes are aiming right at it. So, could TRAPPIST-1e hold the key? Here's my scorecard. Right size, right zone, promising atmosphere constraints, tricky star, plausible climate workarounds, rich chemistry potential. It's not a slam dunk, but it's a legit contender. What happens next? More JWST transits to refine the atmosphere story. Better flare monitoring to see how rough the space weather really is. And in the 2030s, new giant telescopes might finally split that tiny signal and tell us if breathes. If life exists there, it changes everything here. Not because it's little green people, but because it proves life is not a fluke. It's a pattern. Until then, the smartest move is patience plus data. That's how you solve a cosmic riddle. And TRAPPIST-1e, it just might be the first answer we can read from 40 light-years away. Subtitles. All caps with per word highlight as spoken. Space doesn't hate you, but it definitely doesn't care if you survive. Tonight, I'm pulling back the curtain on the most dangerous stuff out there, and what you should actually worry about. First, the fear. Black holes. The name alone feels like a trapdoor. Get close and you'll stretch into spaghetti, real thing, spaghettification. But here's the truth. There isn't a black hole secretly hiding in our backyard. The nearest known one is thousands of light-years away. Your odds? Basically zero, unless your travel agent books you a one-way trip to the event horizon. Next, gamma ray bursts. The universe's flashbang. A GERB can blast more energy in seconds than our sun will in its entire life. If one hit Earth dead on, our atmosphere would take a beating. Scary, but they're super rare, directional, and we're not in the usual line of fire. Magnetars. Think neutron stars with magnetic fields so intense they could erase your credit card from halfway to the moon. In 2004, one jolt pinged our satellites. Did we fry? Nope. We noticed, measured, moved on. Dangerous up close. Not a daily threat here. Solar flares, coronal mass ejections, this is the one to respect. The sun sneezes and our tech catches a cold. Power grids, GPS, planes, internet cables, all vulnerable during a strong storm. The 1859 Carrington event lit telegraph paper on fire. Today, it would cost trillions. The fix? Better forecasting, hardened infrastructure, and operators who can take systems offline for a few hours. Rogue planets and killer asteroids? Rogue planets drifting through space are real. But space is big, and collisions are rare. Asteroids are the practical risk. Good news. We're tracking the big ones, and missions like DART proved we can nudge them. That's us leveling up against the cosmos. Vacuum exposure, myth check. You don't explode. You pass out in seconds, and if you're rescued fast, you can live. Scary, sure. Movie physics, not quite. So what's the truth behind most dangerous? Up close, space is merciless. From Earth, the biggest realistic threats are solar storms and medium-sized asteroids, both manageable with brains, budgets, and early warnings. Here's the plot twist. Fear grabs attention, but facts give you power. The universe isn't a horror movie, it's a lab. Every burst, flare, and ripple teaches us how to predict, protect, and push farther. If you felt your heartbeat jump, good. Point that energy at curiosity, follow space, weather alerts, support planetary defense, and keep looking up, with a little awe and a lot of respect. Because the most dangerous thing in space, letting fear stop us from learning how to survive it. Subtitles, all caps, mirror the script above, with live word highlights synced to voice.
Here's the headline that makes your stomach drop. AI can edit your DNA through a video. Sounds terrifying. It's also not how biology or reality works. Today, I'm unpacking the scary claim, the tiny truth inside it, and what you actually need to watch for. First, the shock. Deepfakes and synthetic media are getting so good that a fake scientist can look real, demo instant gene hacks, cite papers that never existed. That can push people into dangerous decisions. Pills, kits, DNA upgrade services that are scams at best, harmful at worst. Now, the explain. You cannot alter human DNA by watching a video, scanning a QR code, or exposing yourself to a screen. Gene editing requires lab conditions, precise tools like CRISPR, biological materials, and safety oversight. None of that jumps through YouTube into your body. So where's the kernel of truth? AI really is accelerating biology, designing proteins, predicting structures, helping researchers. But that leap happens on computers and in controlled labs, not in your living room via pixels. Here's the real danger: misinformation engineering. Scammers use AI voices, AI faces, AI papers to sell miracle edits, gene detoxes, DNA frequency videos. They might link malware that steals data while promising genetic alignment. Spot the telltales. Time pressure, 48 hours before your DNA locks. Paywalls for secret protocols. Experts with no searchable publications or mismatched credentials. Visual glitches, hands morphing, text artifacts on lab shots, elastic blinks, screenshots of peer review with no journal link or DOI. Your quick defense kit: slow down. Fear is a feature, not a bug. Reverse image search the lab photos and the expert's headshot. Cross-check claims on trusted medical sites and university pages. Look up the paper on PubMed or the journal site, not a screenshot. Treat QR codes like raw oysters, only from sources you trust. If a video tells you, do this at home to rewrite your genes, that's not cutting edge. It's a con.
Here's a weird one. Why do some submarines look like they're releasing smoke in the middle of the ocean? Aren't they supposed to be stealthy, silent underwater ninjas? Today I'm busting that myth and revealing what that smoke really is. Spoiler, it's not what you think. Picture this: flat, calm sea, then a dark trail on the horizon, like a ship's chimney. But the ship is a submarine. Kinda blows the secret agent vibe. So what's going on? Myth number 1. Nuclear subs vent reactor steam. Nope. Modern nuclear submarines use a closed-loop steam system. That hot water and steam run turbines in a sealed cycle and get condensed back into water. No chimney, no reactor steam puffing into the sky. So if you saw white vapor, That wasn't the nuclear plant letting off steam. Myth number 2. Submarines don't make exhaust. They do, just not all the time. Diesel-electric subs run big diesel engines to charge batteries when they're on the surface, or at periscope depth using a snorkel mast. Engines need air in and exhaust out. That exhaust can look like smoke, especially in cold air where hot, moist gases condense into a white or gray plume. Think of it like your breath on a winter day, but with diesel. Reveal number 1. Most smoke you spot is diesel exhaust during snorkeling. Depending on the fuel, engine load and air temp, it can be white vapor, light gray haze, or darker, if the engine's working hard. It's not constant. Subs only snorkel when they need to recharge or ventilate. Reveal number 2. Sometimes it's not smoke at all. It's mist. When a submarine surfaces or changes depth, it vents air from ballast tanks. That rush of moist air can hit cooler outside air and form a visible white cloud. It looks smoky, but it's just tiny water droplets. Reveal number 3. Deliberate smoke. Subs carry signaling gear for emergencies or helicopter approach. Think orange or red smoke canisters, or dye packs that stain the water. If you ever see bright-colored smoke near a sub, that's more like a big "hey over here" sign for safety or rescue. Bonus oddities. Hot galley air, laundry dryers, or generator exhaust mixing with sea spray can add wisps that read as smoke from afar. Also, missile or torpedo tests create dramatic plumes, but that's gas and spray from launch systems, not a chimney. So here's the simple breakdown. Nuclear subs, no reactor steam venting. Closed loop, diesel electric or hybrids when snorkeling, exhaust that can look smoky. Ballast vents, misty clouds, not smoke, emergency signals. Bright-colored smoke on purpose. Why it matters: understanding the physics. Hot gas meets cool air, moisture condenses, pressure vents, turns a mystery into plain old thermodynamics and engine science. And it explains why that secret smoke shows up only in certain modes, not all the time. Next time you see a clip of a sub with a smoky tail, you'll know if it's diesel exhaust, ballast mist, or a safety signal doing its job. The ocean still keeps plenty of secrets, but this one's officially unveiled. If this scratched your curiosity itch, tap like, and I'll tackle the next marine mystery.
Some people once called much of our DNA junk. Well, this was a simple idea. It suggested that most of our genetic code was useless. It was like carrying around a backpack full of old, forgotten trash. This idea made life seem inefficient. If so much of our biological blueprint was waste, what did that say about us? It felt a little sad. It painted a picture of ourselves as cluttered attics, full of things that once had a purpose, but now just gathered dust. This simple label, junk DNA, shaped how we saw ourselves for a very long time. But what if the trash was not trash at all? What if it was a box of tools you forgot you had? New science is revealing a different story. It is a story of hidden purpose and secret missions. The parts of our DNA that looked quiet are not always sleeping. They are often hard at work, just in ways we did not understand at first. They are like the hidden support crew in a massive theater production. You see the actors on stage, but you do not see the lighting technicians, the stagehands, or the sound engineers. Without them, the show could not go on. How did we ever come to call our own genetic code junk? The story begins with a simple observation. Long ago, scientists discovered genes. They learned that genes are specific stretches of DNA. These genes hold the recipes for making proteins. Proteins are the tiny machines and structures that do almost everything in our bodies. They digest our food, carry oxygen in our blood, fight off infections. Finding these genes was a monumental breakthrough. It was like finding the most important books in a vast, ancient library. Scientists focused on these protein-coding books, but as they looked closer, they found something puzzling. The protein-coding genes made up a surprisingly small part of our total DNA, less than 2% of the entire genome. The other 98% did not seem to do anything. It did not contain recipes for proteins. It just sat there, stretching for millions of letters. Scientists did not know its function. Faced with this enormous mystery, some researchers gave it a simple, dismissive name: junk DNA. The term stuck. It was catchy. It seemed to make sense at the time. Science often works by focusing on what it can measure. The function of genes was clear. The function of the rest was a complete blank. You can think of it like early explorers mapping a new continent. They drew the coastlines, major rivers with great accuracy, but the vast interior they marked as unexplored territory. For a long time, junk DNA was the unexplored territory of our genome. This view persisted for decades. It was taught in textbooks. It became common knowledge. Many imagined ghosts of old genes and ancient viral infections. But as our tools improved, we saw the unexplored territory was not empty at all. The view of junk DNA began to crumble with new discoveries. As technology advanced, scientists could see what DNA was doing inside living cells. They could track which parts were being read and used, even if they were not making proteins. What they found was a shock. Huge portions of the non-coding DNA were incredibly busy. They were being transcribed into molecules called RNA. These RNA molecules were not just messengers. They were something else entirely, acting like conductors of a grand genetic orchestra. Imagine your DNA as a massive sheet of music. The genes are the notes the musicians will play. But music is more than notes. It needs instructions about timing, volume, and rhythm. It needs to know when to play softly and when to build to a crescendo. The non-coding DNA provides these instructions. Some small RNA molecules act like switches. They can find a gene and turn it on, or turn it off with precision. A single gene might be used in a brain cell but must remain silent in a liver cell. Other parts act like volume dials. They do not just switch genes on or off, they fine-tune their activity. They are called enhancers. An enhancer can be far from its gene, yet DNA folding loops them together. When it touches the gene, it tells the machinery to work harder, producing more of that protein. This is how cells ramp up production under stress. These discoveries transformed our understanding. The genome is a complex network. Non-coding regions are software running gene hardware. Tiny changes here can have huge consequences, from healthy heart to malformed one. Beyond acting as switches and dials, non-coding DNA has other surprising jobs. Some of it acts as a physical scaffold, an architect for the genome. Your DNA is incredibly long, about 2 meters if stretched from a single cell, yet it must fold into a microscopic nucleus. This packing is not random. It is highly organized. Certain non-coding parts act as anchor points, helping fold strands into functional shapes. Three-dimensional architecture brings far regions into contact. This is how an enhancer can reach the gene it regulates. The scaffold builds a functional city out of a one-dimensional road, creating neighborhoods where cooperating genes are brought closer. It also creates quiet zones, packing away unneeded genes. The shape of DNA is as important as its letters. A significant portion of non-coding DNA is mobile elements, sequences that copy and paste themselves. Long called selfish DNA or jumping genes, they were seen as parasites, and their jumps can sometimes disrupt genes and cause disease. They are a source of mutation and change, but also innovation. When they jump, they can carry regulatory DNA, dropping a new on switch next to a previously silent gene. This can create new traits for evolution to test. Our genome is filled with ancient elements tamed and repurposed, now permanent parts of regulation. Their secret mission was to supply new ideas, shuffling the genetic deck to keep life adaptable. There's another layer to this story, one that is even more dynamic. It is called epigenetics. This field explores how experiences and environment can leave marks on DNA. These marks do not change the sequence, A, T, C, Gs. Instead, they are like sticky notes or highlights placed on top of the code. They act as another set of instructions, what to read and what to ignore. Epigenetic marks are ghostly scribes in our margins. A common mark is a methyl group. On a gene or its control, it often signals "do not read," silencing the gene. Other marks unspool DNA to make it accessible. This system gives cells memory. Marks can be passed to daughter cells during division. A skin cell remembers it is a skin cell and not a muscle cell, even though both share the same DNA. Food, air, and stress can alter epigenetic patterns. Periods of famine or extreme stress can change methylation on DNA. These changes can adjust how metabolism and stress response genes are used for the rest of a person's life. Our DNA is not fixed destiny. It is a responsive script. Some epigenetic changes can even pass down a generation or two. A parent's experiences may subtly influence children's gene regulation. This is not about new genes, but inherited patterns of switches. The secret mission is adaptability. Fast, temporary adjustments without waiting for slow evolution. So, what does all of this mean for you? Today, 2025, December 4th, it means the DNA within each of your cells is far more interesting than a simple recipe book. A living, breathing archive, a history book of our species' survival, a toolbox of instruments, a dynamic handbook, actively listening and responding to your life. The secret mission is not one grand purpose. It is the sum of many hidden, flexible, responsive jobs. Think of DNA as a vast library of what-if plans, contingency plans for your body, fighting off a new virus, repairing tissue after injury, adjusting metabolism if food becomes scarce. Most plans lie dormant. Non-coding DNA and epigenetic marks keep them silent until the right signal comes. A chemical message or environmental stressor. Then the right plan is activated. The secret mission is readiness. This changes how we think about health and disease. Many conditions are not caused by a broken gene. They arise from problems in the regulatory code, a switch stuck on, a dial turned too high. Instead of fixing a gene, we might adjust a switch, a nuanced approach honoring complexity. Let this inspire wonder. Your DNA is not just a legacy from the past. It is a partner in your present, holding potential for change and adaptation, a record of where you came from, and a set of tools for where you might go. In the end, the story of junk DNA is a powerful lesson in scientific humility. What we once dismissed as waste, we now see as a universe of hidden function. We have journeyed from cluttered attic to bustling, intelligent city. Non-coding DNA provides the power grid, communication networks, architects, memory keepers. Genes are the factories and workshops, but they cannot function without the vast supporting infrastructure. This shift is a triumph of curiosity over certainty. The secret mission is not mystical or alien. Evolution works in ways that are beautiful, messy, brilliant. It keeps options open. It saves old tools that might be useful again. It allows flexibility and rapid adaptation through layers of regulation. DNA is not a perfectly polished manuscript. It is a well-used journal, notes, crossed-out ideas, brilliant insights, memories of past struggles. All of it tells a story and could be part of our future. We still have so much to learn. Scientists chart this territory daily, discovering new RNA molecules, discovering new regulatory functions. Some DNA may be true leftovers, but we can no longer assume the unknown is useless. The story teaches us to look closer, ask better questions, be patient with mystery. The universe inside our cells is as vast as the one outside. Do not picture a static string of letters. Picture a dynamic, living system. The conductors, the architects, the scribes, the movers, all working together. Your genetic code is not a sentence handed down. It is an ongoing conversation between your genes, your environment, your history. A call to wonder. What secret missions are hidden within us, waiting to be revealed? The answer is not junk. It is a fundamental part of what makes us alive.
Is our nearest star hiding life? 4.2 light-years away, there's a tiny red sun hiding a giant question. Could Proxima Centauri host life? Here's the cosmic hook. Proxima is our closest stellar neighbor, and it's got at least one planet, Proxima b, parked in the so-called habitable zone. That means, in theory, liquid water could exist on its surface. Water plus time? That's the recipe we know best. But hold up. Proxima is a red dwarf, and red dwarfs are moody. They flare hard. X-rays, ultraviolet blasts, like a cosmic tanning bed set to oops. If Proxima b doesn't have a thick atmosphere, or a strong magnetic field, those flares could strip it bare. So, which way does it go? Let me break it down. Distance. 4.24 light-years. That's next door in space terms. Proxima b. Roughly Earth-sized, in a tight 11-day orbit. Likely tidally locked, one side permanent day, the other eternal night. Other candidates. There's evidence for Proxima d closer in, and a debated outer world. Proxima c. Now, could life still find a foothold? Picture a twilight ring, the Terminator line where day meets night, not too hot, not too cold, with the right atmosphere, maybe CO2 rich, maybe with clouds that reflect some heat. That strip could be stable. Oceans could move warmth around. Volcanoes could recycle gases. A planetary magnetic field could deflect some of that stellar rage. Here's the payoff. We don't have to guess forever. We're building the tools to check. JWST is already sniffing atmospheres of small worlds. Proxima b is tough. It's too close to its star for JWST to isolate easily, but techniques are improving. The extremely large telescope will hunt for faint reflected light and gases like oxygen, methane, and carbon dioxide. The Habitable Worlds Observatory concept aims to look for chemical disequilibrium, like oxygen and methane coexisting, which screams active processes, maybe biology. Caveat time. Around red dwarfs, oxygen can show up without life, and methane can be geological. We'll need patterns, the ratios, seasons, and heat maps. Think of it like catching a glimpse of a city at night versus proving people live there. So, is Proxima alive? Odds are, if life exists, it's microscopic, hiding in oceans, soil, or that twilight band. Complex life. Harder but not impossible if the atmosphere holds and flares mellow over time. Here's why I'm excited. For the first time in human history, the nearest star might give us an answer. Not in centuries, in our lifetimes.